My name is Rachel Bennett, and I never thought a single text message could shatter me the way that one did. It was a quiet Sunday morning when my phone buzzed. I was sitting at the kitchen table helping my daughter with her homework while my son drew little stars on the edge of his notebook. I smiled as I reached for my coffee, expecting some routine message from my mom, maybe another reminder about what to bring to my sister's wedding. Instead, what I read made my stomach twist. "Rachel," it said, "don't come to the wedding. You and your kids make things awkward." I just stared at the screen for a full minute, waiting for some kind of follow-up, maybe a "just kidding" or an apology, but nothing came. Just silence. I read it again, this time slower. "You and your kids make things awkward." The words cut deeper each time. My kids? My two sweet, kind children who had done nothing but love their grandmother? I sat there frozen, the sound of my daughter's pencil scratching on paper fading into the background. My hands trembled as I set the phone down. My husband had passed away 3 years earlier, and ever since then, it felt like my family treated us like a reminder of something heavy, like we were the sad part of every story. I had always tried to stay positive, to show up for every family gathering with a smile, even when they made jokes that stung or left me out of conversations. I told myself they didn't mean harm. But that text proved otherwise. That night, after putting the kids to bed, I went through waves of emotion: anger, grief, disbelief. Part of me wanted to call my mom and demand an explanation. Another part wanted to ignore it, to pretend it didn't hurt. But deep down, I knew this wasn't just about a wedding invitation. It was about being written off, as a daughter, as a sister, as a person who had endured and rebuilt her life from nothing. I decided not to reply. Instead, I made a quiet promise to myself. I would stop trying to prove my worth to people who had already decided I wasn't enough. The wedding was 2 weeks away. During that time, I threw myself into work and my kids' lives. We went on picnics, baked cookies, and spent evenings watching movies in our pajamas. Still, the thought of that text lingered in the back of my mind. My sister, Caroline, never reached out either. I assumed she knew, maybe even agreed with it. That hurt the most. Growing up, we were inseparable, but as adults, she had joined the perfect side of the family, the one that liked to pretend tragedy didn't exist. On the day of the wedding, I woke up earlier than usual. I thought it would sting to stay home, but instead, I felt strangely calm. I dressed the kids in nice clothes anyway and told them we were going out for a surprise. We drove to a small lakeside cafe just outside of town, the same place my late husband and I used to go when we first met. As we sat there, sipping hot chocolate and laughing about my son's messy whipped cream mustache, something inside me shifted. I realized I didn't need their approval or invitation to feel whole. But fate, as it often does, had its own plans. Later that afternoon, while we were finishing dessert, my phone rang. It was Caroline. I hesitated but answered. Her voice was trembling. "Rachel," she said, "I don't know what to say. Mom told everyone you refused to come. She said you were being dramatic." I almost laughed. "Dramatic?" I repeated. "Caroline, she told me not to come. She said we made things awkward." There was a pause on the line, then a quiet, "Oh my God!" She sounded broken. Apparently, word had spread at the wedding that I had chosen not to attend because I still hadn't moved on from my husband's death. My mother had turned her guilt into a story that made me the villain. Caroline was furious. She left the reception early, came straight to the cafe, and found us still sitting by the water. When she saw me, she burst into tears and hugged me tightly. "You didn't deserve that," she said over and over. I didn't cry, not because it didn't hurt, but because I'd already shed every tear I had for that family. We spent the rest of the evening talking, laughing, and watching the sunset while the kids played by the lake. Caroline promised she would make things right, but I told her she didn't have to. The truth was already out, and I didn't need revenge. A few days later, photos from the wedding started appearing online. Everyone looked perfect, except for the subtle tension in the captions and the missing smiles. People noticed that both Caroline and my mom looked uncomfortable. Eventually, word spread about what really happened. I didn't say a word. I didn't need to. My silence became my statement. Now, months later, my relationship with Caroline is stronger than ever, and my mom still hasn't reached out. I've learned to be okay with that. Sometimes peace comes not from fixing broken bonds, but from accepting that some people were never meant to understand your worth. My mom texted, "Don't come to the wedding. You and your kids make things awkward." But in truth, we were never the awkward ones. We were just the honest ones.